Help me hit 4,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a casual Saturday afternoon could spiral into something so unexpected. My name's Ethan, I'm 34, and I live in a quiet neighborhood in suburban Virginia. Life has always been predictable. The same morning coffee, the same jog around the park, the same small talk with neighbors over the fence. That predictability is why I always laughed off my wife Rachel's little quirks. She has a sharp sense of humor and a mischievous streak that keeps things interesting, even after 10 years of marriage. Or so I thought. It all started when we were outside tending to the garden. Our neighbor Daniel, mid-30s, always impeccably dressed with that easy charm that makes people like him instantly, was walking by. Rachel, in her usual playful mood, waved him over and joked, $100 and he's yours. I laughed along with her, thinking nothing of it. It was just one of those Rachel moments, teasing, lighthearted, maybe even a bit ridiculous. I didn't see any malice in it, just her usual flirting for fun. Daniel chuckled, shook his head, and walked away. But the way Rachel looked at him when he turned, that half smile, the slight tilt of her head, I didn't notice it then. I didn't realize that moment was the first hint of the storm about to hit. 2 days later, Daniel showed up again. This time he wasn't smiling. He had that look, confident, calm, almost smug. I was trimming the hedge when Rachel called out to him, and before I could process anything, he leaned casually on the fence and said, "So, $1,000. Deal." Her smile vanished instantly. I watched her face drain of color, the playful spark gone in a second. Her eyes widened, her lips parted, and for a moment she was frozen. That was the first time I truly felt a pang of unease. Something about Daniel's tone, not demanding, not joking, but oddly matter-of-fact, made me pause. He wasn't testing her. He was declaring something. And Rachel, my Rachel, didn't respond. She didn't laugh it off. She just stared at him, then at me, as if trying to find an escape in my expression. I stepped closer, my heart racing, but my voice steady. "Ethan," she said in a tone I'd never heard from her before, serious, almost cold. My name spoken like that made my stomach twist. "It's not what it looks like," she added, as if trying to preempt the judgment I hadn't even voiced yet. Daniel, completely unbothered, raised his eyebrows. "Looks like a deal to me," he said, smiling faintly. That was the moment the air between us shifted. The garden, the sunlight, the birds chirping, that none of it mattered anymore. There was a weight in my chest I couldn't shake. Later that evening, Rachel and I sat down in the living room. Silence stretched between us like a canyon I couldn't bridge. I finally asked, my voice low but controlled, "What happened out there?" She hesitated. I could see the conflict in her eyes. Guilt, fear, shame, but also something I didn't recognize. A dangerous curiosity. She finally whispered, "It was just a joke. I didn't think he'd..." She trailed off, unable to finish. I swallowed hard. "Rachel, he offered $1,000. That's not a joke. That's real." You smiled at that offer for a second. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't deny it. She just looked down at her hands, twisting the ring on her finger. And that's when I felt it. The slow creeping realization that something in our marriage had shifted. Not gradually, not subtly, but in one sharp, terrifying moment. The next few days were a blur of tension. I couldn't look at her without remembering that instant. The smile that disappeared. The way Daniel's words had hung in the air like a trap. Rachel tried to act normal, but I noticed the small things. Avoiding eye contact, a tightness in her voice, laughter that didn't reach her eyes. I began to question every conversation, every interaction, every little joke. Then came the confrontation. I had to know if it was a momentary lapse of judgment or something deeper. One night after the kids were asleep, I asked her straight, "Rachel, was that just a joke, or did you want him to actually pay?" Her answer was chilling in its honesty. "I don't know," she admitted. It was exciting. "I didn't mean to, Ethan. I didn't think it would matter." That phrase, and "I didn't think it would matter," replayed in my head endlessly. It wasn't just a casual comment. It was a confession of the invisible cracks in our marriage, the unspoken desires that I'd been blind to. My hands shook as I tried to keep my voice calm. "It matters. It matters more than anything. You just don't realize what you're risking." Rachel looked at me, tears streaming down, but the fear in her eyes wasn't for herself. It was for me, for the consequences she knew were coming. And she was right. That weekend, I made a decision. I couldn't ignore what had happened. I couldn't pretend this was just a fluke, a funny anecdote to tell at parties. Something had changed, and the only way to deal with it was head-on. I told her calmly but firmly that we needed space, that our marriage, as we knew it, had hit a line that could not be uncrossed. She tried to argue, tried to explain, but I held my ground. The tension, the thrill, the betrayal, I couldn't unsee it, and neither could she. The following week, Daniel stopped by again. I was in the garage fixing the car when he leaned against the doorway. "Everything okay?" he asked casually, like nothing had happened. I looked him straight in the eyes. "It's fine," I said, my voice measured. But inside I felt a surge of clarity, of control, of understanding. The joke had ended. The stakes were real, and I was the only one who knew the full value of what had almost been lost. Not money, not pride, but trust, loyalty, and respect. Rachel came into the garage, hesitated, then stood beside me. For the first time that week, I saw a hint of the old warmth in her eyes, but it was tempered by fear. Fear of what she had done, fear of losing me. And in that silence, I realized something fundamental. Our relationship would never be the same. Not because of Daniel, not because of $1,000, but because a small joke had unveiled a hidden truth. And truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. That night, after Daniel left, we sat together quietly. No laughter, no playful remarks, just a shared understanding. I didn't know what the future held, whether we'd repair the damage or drift apart. But I knew one thing: nothing would ever feel trivial again. Not a joke, not a glance, not $1,000. And as I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, I understood why some moments change everything. Not with shouting, not with betrayal, but with a simple act, a fleeting offer, and the truth that lurks just beneath the surface. Rachel had smiled, but when the stakes became real, the mask fell away. And I saw her, really saw her, for the first time in years. The lesson was clear, sharp and unforgettable. Some jokes are more dangerous than they seem, and some truths once revealed cannot be hidden again.